As some of you might know already, I have a channel on LBRY or Odyssey, which is their new front end, and this is a decentralized video platform. Well, you can actually do more on it than just video. It's pretty much got the same features as YouTube, except you don't have to deal with all of the ads, censorship, and spookiness that YouTube has. So if you want to enjoy my content without having to deal with YouTube, Google, and all of their nonsense, you could just watch the videos on Odyssey. Just look up the channel Alpha Nerd. See, they even allow me to have the original thumbnail of Chrome on there. Very, very cool. Now, even if you don't really care about all of the spookiness that YouTube does, or you don't care about having LBRY as an alternative platform just for the sake of competition and things like that, you really should care about what's going on with LBRY right now, because it's the crypto aspect of LBRY that is being attacked, and I think we're going to be in for a lot of nonsense. But let's take a look at what's basically going on. So today, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed a complaint against LBRY Inc., alleging that all distributions of LBRY credits by LBRY Inc. are unregistered securities offerings. This claim is a tremendous threat to the entire cryptocurrency industry. We're going to talk more about that. The LBRY network is decentralized and not at risk. For users of the LBRY protocol and apps, your channel's content and token holdings are not at risk. Even in an unlikely scenario in which LBRY Inc. loses, the LBRY protocol will live on and work on it will continue. LBRY Inc. has been preparing to fight the SEC case for 3 full years, which is how long the SEC has been investigating this matter. We want to tell you sooner, but transparency and ongoing investigations is not welcomed by the SEC. How interesting is that? Now, in case you didn't know, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they exist to try and prevent market manipulation, right? Stock market fuckery. It was formed shortly after the stock market crash back in the 1930s. Basically, if you watched The Wolf of Wall Street, it's the people who were initially investigating Stratton Oakmont and questioning all the employees and stuff. So the SEC is claiming that the company LBRY owes a bunch of money in fines and things like that from their sales of their token, LBC, which is sort of like their, it's sort of the backbone of LBRY, you know, because it is a blockchain-based solution to, pretty much do everything that you can do on YouTube in a decentralized way, free of censorship. If you're a creator, you can earn LBC, viewers of the content can tip you LBC, and of course, if you wanted to sell that LBC, you could export it to an exchange wallet and flip it into another cryptocurrency. You can sell it for fiat, whatever you want to do. That's the beauty of cryptocurrency. But here's the thing about crypto. It's considered a security, and security is just something that you invest in that has value that can be traded to another person. So it's pretty much a catch-all for stocks, bonds, mutual funds, crypto. Hell, you could probably even consider RuneScape Gold to be a security. Because it's something that has value that you can easily trade to other people. I think like 1 million RuneScape Gold or OSRS Gold is like 60 cents or something like that. Now, typically, whenever you sell securities to someone, there are SEC regulations that you have to go through in order to do so. And this is part of the reason why now you have to identify yourself to buy Bitcoin. The OG Bitcoiners know. Back before all of that, it wasn't something where you had to swap IDs or anything. I mean, it was basically something where you wanted to try and be as anonymous as possible with it, because that's kind of the point of crypto to some extent. But you see, the government doesn't want people trading securities and profiting off of it in any anonymous way, because then they can't tax you. Remember, it's all about the money. So that is why LBRY is in hot water. If we scroll down a bit and take a look at the specific charges, so yeah, you can see that they think that they are securities and should have been registered with the SEC prior to selling. The case is about overregulation. So $10,000 worth of credit sales to Shapeshift in July of 2016 to facilitate distribution to their users, several $100,000 worth of credit sales to Flipside Crypto in 2017 and 2018, despite Flipside explicitly saying that they're for use on the network, and then several $1 million worth of crypto sales on exchanges over a period of several years, only after the LBRY protocol was completely functional and had been in use for over a year and always a small portion of private sales. And at times, the SEC has made representations that even tipping 25 cents worth of credits for a clever GIF is an unregistered security transaction that must be registered and tracked. So what does this actually mean for the future of LBRY? They could end up losing this front end here, like LBRY TV. This was their original front end, but it's already being retired in favor of Odyssey. I know some people are thinking that the whole reason for Odyssey is because they sort of saw this coming, like LBRY TV being shut down. So they're like, hey, why don't we already get ahead of getting shut down by just creating another front end? But these could go down because these websites are, of course, centralized. They could be shut down. But as LBRY has stated in this write-up, the LBRY protocol is on the blockchain. So, there's open source apps that you can download to just connect to LBRY if you don't want to go through a website or anything like that. So there isn't really anything that a government agency can really do to stop it. It's an open source project and an open source protocol. So development on it will continue even if LBRY as a company goes out of business. But what I'm seeing from all of this, from pretty much reading between the lines and connecting the dots to other government activity that's going on around crypto, it appears that the government is slowly waging a war on blockchain. Now, you might be thinking, who cares if the government goes to war with blockchain? There's no way that they can even win. And you're absolutely correct. That is the entire point. It is much more beneficial from the government's perspective to be involved in an endless war. And this isn't anything new, by the way. The war on drugs, the war on crime, the war on terror, these are all endless wars that give the government an excuse to extract more money out of you, further restrict your rights, and expand government influence by creating new departments, all in the name of winning the war. Or, well, not winning the war, because that's the point, you don't ever win. Getting closer to winning the war, right? Making an advance on the effort to win the war. Who do you think is paying for these SEC lawsuits against LBRY? You are. At least if you pay taxes in Burgerland, you are. That $700,000 offer, or however much it was from the IRS to whoever can crack Monero, who do you think is going to pay that? Where do you think that money's going to come from? It's not going to come out of Joe Biden's pocket. He's not going to call up his son for some Ukrainian oil money. You're going to pay for that too. LBRY is just a test right now for the government to see how much they can bully crypto-based companies. Don't be surprised if you start seeing propaganda on the normie news networks telling you that, oh, crypto is evil, or, talking about, I don't know if they'll talk about LBRY because that's so obscure that the point of mentioning it might be more damaging instead of, trying to create some propaganda against LBRY specifically. But don't be surprised if they tell you that certain types of crypto are evil, because obviously they're not going to be against all types of crypto. Like I explained in my Bitcoin versus Monero video, Bitcoin is very government and regulator friendly. But projects like LBRY, which give people control over the narrative, because it's like YouTube, people think, oh, YouTube, you can upload whatever you want, you can create whatever kind of channel you want. Not true. There's a terms of service on YouTube that exist in theory to try and protect you, but sort of in a way it's to protect certain narratives that YouTube has deemed acceptable. So you might be wondering, what can I do to try and save LBRY or to try and support them? Honestly, the best thing that I can think of would be to use the platform, download the app, because like I said, you should, if you become dependent on the Odyssey front end, that can always be shut down. So you want to be as independent as possible, access it through the app and not through a website. I really don't expect LBRY to win this one. You know, I would say maybe donate to them, but they've already spent $1 million fighting this lawsuit, and it pretty much appears to be a war of attrition to me, because this has been going on for years, and LBRY has already attempted to settle it, but the SEC is not giving LBRY an option to settle under any reasonable terms. So like I said, the company might go away, but we're always going to have the protocol, we're always going to have the open source apps, so we're always going to have our obscure video platform. Learn how to access it now while it's still easy.